Penny Lane, there is a barber showing photographs of every head he's had the pleasure to have known, and all the people that come and go stop and say hello. On the corner is a banker in a motor car. The little children laugh at him behind his back, and the banker never wears a Mac. Penny Lane is in my ears and in my eye. Wet beneath the blue suburban skies, I sit and meanwhile back in Penny Lane. So that's Penny Lane by the Beatles. Some really interesting chords and stuff going on. This is probably not a beginner song, a little bit complicated to do. And we're going to start off with a D chord. We're going to do this in the key of D. Of course, Penny Lane I think is not originally in D, but I was playing around with it in different keys and I decided, hey, I like to do this in D. Not only a good chord progression, but it fits my voice range, which is always important if you're going to play an instrument and sing. Find the key that's good for you. Don't try to always sing it in the original key. Sometimes you'll get lucky and the original key fits your voice perfect. But so what I'm doing a D, which is the pad of the middle finger on the top two strings in the second fret, and then the third finger on the next to the bottom string in the third fret. So covering 1, 2, 3, D. And then I'm adding a little grace note here on the third fret with the pinky. I'm just going, and then I'm lifting up and I'm playing also just these top two and with these open. Penny Lane, there is a barber showing photographs. Then I go to an E minor, 7th, which is, you could use an E minor, but E minor 7th really works nice because Penny Lane has that kind of an airy sound to it, and minor 7th has that kind of a, so you could do, there's an E minor, there's an E minor 7th. Sounds a little bit more nicer. And then we got the third finger on the second fret, bottom string, and the middle finger on the next to the top string. And I'm doing a little with the pinky right here. Actually, it's kind of like a G I'm forming. So I'm kind of going back from an E minor 7th to a G. And it just so happens that E minor 7th, the G note happens to be part of the scale. So Penny Lane, the barber show, throwing photographs. And then I go to A 7th now, which is the index finger on the next to the top string in the first fret. And I'm also continuing to do a counter bass. Of every head he's had the pleasure to have known. Now I go from, I'm doing a D, and then I go to, I keep these two pressed down, like for the D note, but I lift up the third finger, and instead of playing the third finger, I play the index finger on the first fret on the next to the bottom string. And I use my grace note, or my bass line is over here. I keep that bass line. And you could also, if you wanted to, you could also lift up the index finger, and you get kind of a little walking bass going there. Then, of every head he's had the pleasure to have known. And all the, now what I do is this bass line, I want to keep it going, but I need to go and put the middle finger now on this bottom string in the second fret. So I keep my D, and this is a D minor with a B, D, A, B. It would be basically like playing the third note. And I can keep that bass line going with the pinky. A little bit more complicated, but you can do this. So it's a D minor plus the B plus people that come and go. Now what I'm doing here is they gave a different chord, but I played this chord and it didn't sound right. So all I'm doing is I'm lifting up the index finger and I'm keeping that bass line going. people that come and go stop and say hello. Now remember, I go to my A7th. No, actually I want to go to an A suspended though. A7th would be right there, but I want to go to an A7th suspended 4th, and A, B, C, D. This is the D note right here. That would be your suspended 4th. And I'm keeping that bass line going. Takes a little practice. So let me just run through that real quick. So Penny Lane, there is a barber showing photographs of every head he's had the pleasure to have known, and all the people that come and go stop and say hello. Then it goes, on the corner is a, and it goes back to the same verse. Now the second time you do the verse though, when you get to and the banker never wears a Mac in the pouring rain, in the pouring rain. And you do that only 2 times. On the first verse you did, and you went back into the next verse. But on the second time you only do it twice. You go, very strange, Penny Lane, and then that's a G note, which I haven't shown yet in this video, so I'm going to explain that real quick. Middle finger on the bottom string, 2nd fret, index finger on the next to the top string, 2nd fret, and the 3rd finger on the 3rd fret next to the bottom string. So it's a little bit of a triangle. 1, 2, 3, G. And you can play that one too. That's all. The G. That's actually the G note, so that works. Very strange, Penny Lane. Then you go into C. And for my counter bass on the C note, I'm going to use the suspended F. Penny Lane is in my ears, and then I just go down 1 with the middle finger right there, and that's the C major 7th. Is in my ears, and in my. So I go my bass, I do 1 on there, and then I go da da, and in my, and that also follows the melody, which is kind of nice. And in my eyes. Then I go to an F chord here, F chord, which is the middle finger on the top string, 2nd fret, and the index finger on the 1st fret next to the bottom string. If I want, I can do this kind of a thing, which you hear the trumpet do or something in the right in the song. See, now the last note I'm hitting is this. Then it goes wet, back to the same thing. Sit beneath the blue suburban skies, I sit, and meanwhile back in Penny Lane, and then you go back into the same song. And so that's Penny Lane in the key of D.